If you are a parent raising a preteen or a teen, this is for you. If you find yourself getting frustrated, yelling, things like screen time, confidence, motivation, you're really curious on what's going on with your children's behavior, and you just haven't yet found a way to find practical tips and strategies on how to support them on a daily basis. You might be feeling the pressure, the cultural pressure that you need to do something to change this behavior. For the last 14 years, I've been educating parents on understanding emotional behavior. And this course is packed with practical tips and strategies on how to understand your children's behavior now, how to create the connection that you desire in your relationship, how to parent your way, maybe not even the way that your partner parents, how to feel aligned and confident, and really support your children with their big emotions like anger and anxiety and overwhelm. So inside this mini course, what I've decided to do is go right to those things that I have noticed parents see biggest transformation quickest. So if you're willing to commit 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day on seeing and understanding your children's behavior on a deeper level, head on over to heatherchauvin.com/parenting. If you are a parent of a teenager who has struggled academically, today's episode is for you. And I want to introduce you to who I think is a magical human, Anjilee. Anjilee Ferguson has over a decade of experience in the online education industry, working at both the high school and college levels. During those years, she has worked with numerous students, residential treatment centers, and curriculum providers to provide the highest quality of learning. Her passion for innovation and creative solutions for children and students has led her to co-found Mountain Point Academy. Throughout her time in online education, she has seen the inner workings of many departments. Anjilee has earned her BA in Public Relations from Utah State University and an MS in Management and Leadership from Western Governors University. And of course, in her spare time, she loves, well, not of course, but she loves to work on writing her first book, spending time outdoors, and traveling with her family. All right. Today's actually really special for me. I have known Anjilee for a few years now, and I have never witnessed somebody so passionate about helping teens navigate the educational system. But there is a bigger conversation I want to have here. If you are a parent and, there's many reasons why, but maybe your child has been diagnosed with a learning disability. Maybe they have just had a really rough go. Maybe they're neurodiverse, and you as a parent find yourself incredibly frustrated. Education can be incredibly frustrating as a parent, and especially when you are trying to support your child. But I want you to walk away from today's conversation knowing one thing. Life is about discovering who you are. And I think our educational path is also about discovering your learning style. I believe that every human has the ability and capacity to learn. I don't believe in unmotivated people or children. I don't believe in lack of intelligence. I believe we all have the ability to learn through our learning style. I think the frustration that happens for parents is when we are trying to stick our children a square peg in a round hole in the educational system that does not tailor to their learning and their brain. So regardless if you have a child who has been diagnosed with a learning alternative abilities, or maybe your child has another diagnosis of sorts, if you find yourself frustrated advocating for them, this conversation is for you. And I really want to hear from you as well. I want you to head on over to Instagram, find me at Heather Chauvin, and send me a private message. Now, although I'm not talking specifically about any diagnosis of a child, so if you've been through your child's educational career and you've gotten diagnosis, or your child had a diagnosis before even entering the school system, I want you to to back up a few steps and just see the bigger picture. A lot of times when I'm working with parents who have had children with previous diagnosis, we start actually looking at our children through that lens. And our own stuff comes up, which is our own frustration and our own fears and our own worries. And we try so hard to fix our children and to shove them in a system that is not going to serve their brain and their learning style. So sometimes our job is to actually get outside our own comfort zones and realizing that our children are going to make an impact. Our children are going to learn, but it's not going to be the way that we want them to. So, as a mother raising 3 boys with 3 very different learning styles, part of my own inner work has been to remove my ego, remove my fears, and really see and understand my children beyond who society believes they should be. And isn't that what we want for our children? We want them to be themselves. We want them to feel whole and complete and to develop the confidence to understand who they are in the world. So when I position myself as their guide and as a spiritual teacher, I'm not doing the work. But it does take a lot of energy and effort to advocate on their behalf. So I hope you get something from my conversation with Anjilee today. And if you do feel inspired, then check her out and her company at mountainpointacademy.com. All right, let's dive in.
I sit in the Zoom room waiting to meet for the first time. Will I be met with indifference, hatred, anger, excitement, resentment? I don't know, and the uneasiness builds. Am I cut out for this? How can I help this person who has been entrusted to my care? I brace myself as I see her approach. The student comes on screen, and I see for the first time the teenager I am assigned to mentor. She is shy, averting her gaze, totally disengaged, and hardly responsive. It's like pulling teeth to get one-word answers as she pulls at her sweatshirt, trying to avoid talking to me. Trust just isn't there yet. She's mad she's been sent to a treatment center. She tells me she hates school and hasn't been successful, so why even try? It's a classic story that we all hear too often. The school system has failed her, and she doesn't trust that anyone will care to help her succeed. And doing it online? Forget about that. She doesn't even want to try since she's been forced to be here. This isn't her choice. Week after week, I meet with her, not knowing if I am making a difference. Am I good enough to mentor this student who hates school? What does she need? How do I make sure she knows that I am on her side, that I want to help her succeed? So many doubts fly in my mind as I meet with her to help mentor her on this academic journey. Am I making a difference? Will she get the most out of her time at this school? I keep meeting with her, hoping that something will stick and help ignite the spark of excitement for learning. Then one week, I see it. That same student is smiling, connecting to our Zoom meeting, excited to talk and brag about the 82% she got on her test. Her confidence has transformed. She believes in herself. She recognizes her strengths and intelligence. She no longer averts her gaze, but sits proud and confident. I am grinning from ear to ear as I tell her that's amazing and her hard work has paid off. As she outlines her goals for next week, she's excited to put a plan in motion to get even more accomplished, while also assuring me that she will message me to brag when she passes her next test as well. She is already planning for success instead of failure. All my doubts leave as I see the transformation in this student. I see now that she believes in herself and is excited about her own progress and her new zest for learning. This is what it's all about. This is why I do what I do.
Thank you. You are a magical unicorn, Anjilee.
Thank you.
So this story brings up the important, like you and I have had many conversations about children, teenagers, and the educational system. And it's a hot topic for me. I've been interviewing a lot of people lately about education because I think we're so frustrated as parents and adults because we want to help our children and we feel really lost when it comes to understanding our children's behavior, understanding their academic behavior. So taking a look back, right, there's many factors that happen here, but this child or this young woman came to you because there was a history of can you talk a little bit about, I don't want to talk about like the history of the child, but like these things that happen that begin to feel like a big heavy weight on a child's back. Mm-hmm. And then they get to this point where they just have such disbelief in themselves. So how do you begin to like turn the ship, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I would say probably 90% of the students that we work with are students that have struggled academically, personally, mentally, you name it, lots of struggles. And they have IEPs or 504s. So they've been basically told by the education system, like, hey, you're not cutting it. We need to make all these accommodations for you because traditional learning just isn't right for you. And I think a lot of these kids just get to the point where they're in the public school system. The teachers aren't maybe giving them the attention they need. They fall in with the wrong crowd, start acting up, get kicked out of schools, and then have to go to another one. It's a classic story that we hear a lot where we're their fourth school in 2 years. Mm-hmm. And so they've basically been told, well, you're kicked out of here, you're kicked out of here. And so I think that repeated pattern for them is like, oh, well, I'm just not good enough. Nobody's going to care. Nobody wants to take the time to help me. And that's kind of the overwhelming attitude. And especially in today's society with bullying on the rise and all sorts of things, there's situations where students just maybe can't thrive in a traditional school setting. And so looking at alternative options is the best route for them, because a philosophy we have at the school is that all kids can learn and succeed, but they're all going to learn differently. It's not a one size fits all type of thing. So it's a matter of meeting the student where they are. And I think helping them build confidence in themselves, because if they can get confidence in themselves, that's going to cross over to academics. It all starts at the core with the mental health, the emotional health, and then they can say, oh, hey, because I'm good here, I can do this, instead of saying, well, I've been a failure, it's just going to keep continuing.
Okay, so this brings up for me two things. One is you said everyone can learn differently. So how do you run a school and help children get educated when they all have different learning styles and different kind of ways of being? And the second thing, well, let's start there.
Okay.
Because I was like, the second thing is a bigger question. So let's start there.
Well, I think something that's kind of unique about our online program is that we allow students to meet face-to-face, via Zoom with an academic mentor. So they know that they have a person who's going to be checking in with them. They're going to be setting goals. They're taking interest in things they're interested in. And they can see, oh, hey, this style isn't working for you. Let's have a conversation about how you do understand things and maybe come up with an alternative project that will help you to really absorb the information while also meeting the standards for graduation. Because, fortunately, as a school, we do have to have certain standards that are met in order to issue a high school diploma. But we can be creative in how we do that. So some students might say, well, hey, I'm better at doing a project. Can I just take on this project and have that be my assignment? And we're like, yeah, sure. You tell us what you want to do. We'll make sure that it lines up with the rubric and that we're able to assess you on what we have to in order to keep our accreditation. But really, it's kind of a hands-on approach where the student kind of is able to take that accountability for their learning and not just feel so disconnected from it. And then it gets them a little bit excited about it too, because then it's like, oh, hey, I can do something that I'm good at or something that I'm interested in doing. We had one student who is really good at fly fishing. And he's like, I just spend my time outdoors. We're like, hey, great. Let's find out how we can turn that into an educational opportunity and get you some high school credit. So we created kind of an online platform for that and with his hands-on experience, and he was able to get some experiential credit for that. Another student, his dad is like a marine biologist, and he would go on treks with him every summer. And we're like, well, hey, let's see how we can tie that into your science curriculum, and taking these experiences that kids are already having and that they're excited about, and then integrating it into their education. Because again, if they're not a reader, they're not a visual learner, that's not going to work for them. But if they're more hands-on, hey, let's work with you. Let's see what you're already doing and get some credit and integrate it into the curriculum.
Okay, so this brings up the second question, which is, do you believe, I don't even want to say this. Okay, it's like the myths of what parents say, like, oh, my child is lazy, or they're unmotivated, or I don't really hear that anymore. Someone's like, usually it's a child calling themselves stupid. If I heard an adult call a child stupid, like that feels abuse to me. But usually it's a child being like, I'm stupid or I am not smart. Do you believe in a child or a teenager that is not intelligent?
No, I think everybody has their own strengths, and it's just a matter of tapping into those. And I think, unfortunately, with technology and screen time and all of those things, kids' default is, well, this is too hard. I can't do it. And it's just a matter of, well, hey, let's figure out how you can do your hard. Because that's something I hear from my stepson all the time, trying to read is, well, I don't want to do it. It's too hard, And it's like, okay, but what's easier? Not necessarily easier, but hey, you're not going to grow if you don't do those hard or difficult, uncomfortable things, as you would say, right? And so I think it's just a matter of tapping into what would connect with them and what works with their brain to make the connections, because everybody has intelligence. Everybody, again, has different strengths and different opportunities. So it's just a matter of finding what works for them and how they can learn best so that they can tap into that potential. And just a matter of switching that narrative of, instead of saying, well, I'm stupid, I can't do this, just saying, hey, I'm going to try this because I haven't done it before.
Okay, so I'm over here as a parent. You and I have had many conversations about raising a teenager. And I'm also a parent who grew up barely getting out of high school. And I'm not wildly successful entrepreneur, but I'm a successful entrepreneur. And there is that quote or saying, the C students hire the A students. Have you heard that quote before?
I haven't heard that one, no.
I have no idea who it's from. I'm paraphrasing, but I've heard it again and again, where C students hire A students, meaning a C student may have critical thinking skills, maybe an outside of the box thinker, and they're not so much of a academic success. So the people pleaser is not there in like, I need to perform to please. It's more of a, I was considered the stupid child in school. And then once I got out of school and I could learn in alignment with what brought me joy, that was where I was like, oh my gosh, I can do this. And I had to unlearn the belief that I was stupid. I actually had teachers tell me that I was stupid, which I thought is fucking hilarious. But anyways,
that's crazy.
now I can see that, right? So it's really difficult to watch a child suffer when you know that their potential is just being squashed because they're in the wrong system.
Mm-hmm.
So not everybody is going to be able to, well, we're going to talk about your school because I think it's a magical thing that you have created. But like, what do you say to parents that are starting to notice behaviors in their children or an academic decrease? And it might be behavioral issues, mental health issues, emotional issues. And like, I see a lot of people trying to push, right? Like, come on, you got to get that. You got to come on, it's about the grades. And I'm like, it's not about the fucking grades. Give up on the grades. Like, what do you say to those parents when they're just really frustrated? They're trying to do their best, but they're just at their wits' ends.
Yeah. No, that's a great question. And I think one of the, benefits of our online program is that we do provide weekly feedback to the parents and let them know, hey, this is what's going on. This is where your kid's at. And sure, the parent might be upset. Well, hey, how come they only made maybe 2% progress this week? And then we can look at it and say, yeah, but look at their scores, versus this week versus last week. It's not always about the progress or the grade. It's about the growth. And so that's why we kind of set goals with the student, especially if they're unmotivated.
Need to stop there. It is not about the grades. It is about the growth.
Yes.
Repeat that again.
It's not about the grades. It's about the growth.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yes.
I think everyone just needs to stop and really soak that in.
Yes. No, I agree. And I think as a society, we often overlook the purpose of education, right? We think, oh, you need to go get your high school diploma so you can get a job. And then you need to go get a college degree in a specific field so you can do this specific job. But really, underlying the purpose of education is learning how to be a learner, because your whole life you're going to be learning. It's not just okay, I graduated high school. Okay, I graduated college. Now I have all the skills I'm ever going to need. That's just not true. The things that you're learning, kind of like you mentioned before, the critical thinking, the out of the box thinking, the problem solving, the communication skills, so many valuable things are learned by having the educational experience that isn't necessarily taught in a textbook, but you learn how to work hard, how to be ethical, all of those things by just doing the work. And so there's so much more value to education than just grades.
Yeah.
And, even in the workforce, employers are not always going to hire the straight A student because they might have just lazed their way through school and didn't have to work hard. Whereas somebody who maybe had to work harder to get a C average is going to have a better work ethic because they had to work for it. They had to earn it. So they have the potential to be a better employee. So I think it's kind of just time to switch that narrative a little bit and recognize the underlying value in education as well versus just the grades.
Yeah. Okay. I know we could go on, but I want to hear more about your school.
Okay.
So tell everybody about where they can find you, who you attract, how you could be of service if a parent is listening to this saying, Anjilee, we have tried it all. I doubt you can help us.
Yeah. So the school's name is Mountain Point Academy. You can find us online at mountainpointacademy.com. We're also on Instagram at MTN Point Academy for Mountain Point Academy. And basically we serve students in grades 6 through 12, homeschool students, kids in juvenile halls, residential treatment centers. Really, that kind of opportunity for students. Hey, they're getting bullied, or hey, they don't fit in here, or they have, mental health issues that they need to sort through right now. We're a great option for that. That's who we serve. That's who we're passionate about helping, because they're the future. And if we can get them excited about learning now, they'll be that much better and further ahead when they're adults. And so, if you've had a student that's struggling and you just want information to see if it's even an option, we're doing free consultation calls. You can also just go on our website, mountainpointacademy.com/let's chat, and sign up for a free consultation call. We're happy to talk with you and just see if it would be a good option for your student. And if they just need to make up credits, we also do credit recovery or test prep. lots of endless options for students.
I love it. It was a few years ago. I feel like there was an extracurricular credit that one of my kids did with you, and it was a fabulous experience. And I know you are just a wealth of knowledge as well. So if someone's even looking for additional support and feeling a little frustrated, then I highly, highly recommend that they check out your website and connect with you or your team, because you are a fabulous wealth of knowledge. So thank you, Anjilee.
Thank you for having me, Heather. I appreciate it.
Are you ready to take back control of your time and energy? But the thought of where to start feels overwhelming. I created something for you. It's called the Energy Finder Quiz. Yep. This quiz takes less than 2 minutes, and it helps you identify where to focus so you can conquer your dreams without feeling like you're failing as a mother. After coaching hundreds of women, helping them reverse engineer how they want to feel in their personal and professional lives, I started to notice 4 hidden skills that women must master in order to create the work-life balance that they crave. So head on over to Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/life quiz. heatherchauvin.com/life, LIFE quiz, QUIZ, and get started. I even give you specific podcast episodes to listen to based on your Energy Finder quiz results. The goal is to show you where to focus so you can regain your time and energy and become the woman you deeply know you are capable of becoming. heatherchauvin.com/life quiz.